Hi, welcome to day 4 of the 20-day Genesis reading plan. Today's entitled Somewhere Over the Rainbow, because after all, if you can't have a title that makes you want to burst into song, what's life for? Today I'm going to read from the Message version of the Bible, which some people really love, and it's been an amazingly popular selling Bible of the sort of modern times, so maybe it's one that you'll particularly enjoy today. Hopefully I'll get into the swing of these readings, and more to the point, hopefully I at some point will get into the swing of doing these videos. But here we go, we're going to do Genesis chapters 8 and 9 and hear the story about the promise after the flood. Chapter 8. Then God turned his attention from Noah and all the wild animals and farm animals with him on the ship. God caused the wind to blow, and the floodwaters began to go down. The underground springs were shut off, the windows of heaven closed, and the rain quit. Inch by inch the water lowered. After 150 days, the worst was over. On the 17th day of the seventh month, the ship landed on the Ararat mountain range. The water kept going down until the 10th month. On the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains came into view. After 40 days, Noah opened the window that he had built into the ship. He sent out a raven. It flew back and forth, waiting for the flood waters to dry up. Then he sent a dove to check on the flood conditions. But it could still not even find a place to perch. Water still covered the entire earth. Noah reached out and caught it, brought it back into the ship. He waited 7 more days and then sent the dove out again. It came back in the evening with a freshly picked olive leaf in its beak. Noah knew that the flood was just about finished. He waited another 7 days and sent the dove out for a 3rd time. This time, it did not come back. In the 601st year of Noah's life, on the first day of the 1st month, the flood had dried up. Noah opened the hatch of the ship and saw dry ground. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was completely dry. God spoke to Noah. Leave the ship and your wife and your sons wives, and take all the animals with you, the whole menagerie of birds and mammals and crawling creatures, all that brimming prodigality of life, so that they can reproduce and flourish on the earth. Noah disembarked with his sons and his wives and his wife and the wife of his sons. Then all the animals, crawling creatures, birds, of every creature on the face of the earth, left the ship, family by family. Noah built an altar to God. He selected clean animals and birds from every species and offered them as burnt offerings on the altar. God smelled the sweet fragrance and thought to himself, I'll never again curse the ground because of people. I know that they have this bent towards evil from an early age, but I'll never again kill off everything living as I've just done. For as long as the earth lasts, planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night, they'll never stop. Chapter 9. God blessed Noah and his sons. He said, prosper, reproduce, fill the earth. Every living creature, birds, animals, fish, will fall under your spell and be afraid of you. You're responsible for them. All living creatures are yours for food. Just as I give you plants, now I give you everything else. Except for the meat with lifeblood still in it. Don't eat that. But your own lifeblood I will avenge. I will avenge it against both animals and other humans. Whoever sheds human blood by humans, let his blood be shed. Because God made humans in his image, reflecting God's very nature. You're here to bear fruit, reproduce lavish life on the earth, live bountifully. Then God spoke to Noah and his sons, saying, I'm setting up my covenant with you, including your children who will come after you, along with everything alive around you, birds, farm animals, wild animals, that came up out of the ship with you. I'm setting up my covenant with you, that never again will every living thing be destroyed by flood waters. No, never again will a flood destroy the earth. God continued, this is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living thing around you. I'm putting my rainbow in the clouds, a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. From now on, when I form a cloud over the earth and the rainbows appear in the cloud, I'll remember my covenant between me and you and everything living, that never again will flood waters destroy all life. When the rainbow appears in the cloud, I'll see it and I'll remember the eternal covenant that I have set up between me and every living thing on the earth. The sons of Noah who came out of the ship were Shem, Ham and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah. From these the whole earth was populated. Noah, a farmer, was the first to plant a vineyard. He drank from its wine, got drunk, and passed out naked in his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and told his two brothers who were outside in the tent. Shem and Japheth took a cloak, held it between them from their shoulders, walked backwards and covered their father's nakedness, keeping their faces turned away so that they did not see their father's exposed body. When Noah woke up with his hangover, he learnt what his youngest son had done. He said, "Cursed be Canaan, a slave of slaves, a slave to his brothers. Blessed be God, the God of Shem, but Canaan shall be his slave. God prosper Japheth, living spaciously in the tents of Shem, but Canaan shall be his slave." Noah lived another 350 years following the flood. He lived a total of 950 years. And then he died. So just a couple of thoughts on that day 4, somewhere over the rainbow, our story of the after effects of the flood. Notice how long that Noah was on the ark. It was ages, wasn't it? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's well over a year that he spends. He seems to wait most of the time for the land to dry out. And I always, it's just meant the way my mind works. But wasn't he meant to take fruit so that the fruit didn't die? But then the dove comes back with an olive branch anyway. So obviously olive trees can survive floods. Who knew? I didn't. Here at last we find out about that covenant. I mentioned it yesterday. We hear that God has got a covenant with the entirety of creation. Not just because Abraham is obviously the father of Israel, and that's the generation, that's the Jews, that's the promise, the people of God. But Noah's pre-Abraham, he's before Abraham, so God has made a covenant with everything, and that covenant is be blessed, multiply, be lavish, live abundantly. And he means live abundantly in everything, not just live, abundantly like wealth. Live abundantly in terms of the creation of life on the earth, the harmony with plants, with animals. It works out at chapter 8 verse 21 when God says, the inclination of human is evil from childhood. That's quite a bleak perspective on humanity. What does that make you think? Do you agree that people are inclined to evil from childhood? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. God and that rainbow. You might be, you know that I come from, hopefully, a more, a different, not a non-traditional church background, and we were always into signs, and I've heard so many good stories of people who in their lives have been given signs, and it's like reoccurring pictures. I know somebody for whom a snowdrop is a sign of the promise of God, but it just reoccurs in their lives. So maybe you've got that, where you've got an experience of you've seen a sign, or you felt that God is blessing you. Right at the end there, we've got that story of Noah's nakedness. If you really want to have a discussion about what that's all about, then come and message me or take me over, even Google it, because it's an interesting story. But just to note, we've just had a blessing. We've just had that blessing from God. God, go, be abundant, live life, and instantly humans come mess it up again. The sin comes in again, and then there's this curse. So if you do want to know more, please ask. But if you don't, just take it as that sin still sucks, even though we've just restarted and rebooted life. So day 5 tomorrow, the end of the week. Hopefully you'll tune in.